Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talking Games. This is Jake,
This is Peter.
and we would like to thank you for your patronage. Um, thanks to our, thanks to you guys, we have hit one listener. You know who you are.
Woo! Oh, 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 oh.
Thanks, listener, singular. Maybe someday. You know what? I'm gonna call it, Peter. 2028. We are gonna have a second listener by then. All right?
Wow, that's really ambitious.
And of course it is. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
I'm Kelly.
I thought you were going to say Peter. I was ready for it.
Why? Who's Peter?
You're right. There was no cold open on this episode that mentioned Peter. Zero mention. Kelly, it feels like this is the first week in like months where we've had like a bundle of news, you know? Besides the week with the direct, I feel like it's been like a lot of scant weeks. And it's been a lot more about what we've been playing. But like this week, we got some stuff. We got some news. It's exciting.
We got some news. Yeah, and you know what? It's that's all I got actually.
Okay, you just really you warmed me up for something interesting, and then you didn't.
Well, I was just gonna say that some of the news in the past few months has been, TV shows, movies, NFTs. It's like a lot of stuff that's like on the peripheral of gaming, but not necessarily actual gaming news.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is an exciting week because there is a lot of news.
Yeah. And only a little bit of it is movies and acquisition related.
Yes. And you know what we're going to start with is the Dead Space remake, which was announced a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago.
It's 2022. We just get to say last year now. It's really nice.
Last year. Time blends together. Reportedly, they want the game to come out in 2023, early 2023, which to me, I don't know about that. Doesn't feel like that makes any sense to me, but that's what they say.
I think EA has definitely burned you specifically a whole lot, so I get that fear. But maybe there's a chance that EA went into this with like a really smart management style. I'm not saying it's likely, but maybe that's what happened, and then they actually could hit a late or an early 2023 release.
I suppose I would just be more curious about what kind of remake it's going to be. If it's just going to be like a remaster remake, or if it's going to be like a full down to the bones remake.
I mean,
like
they seem to be advertising it like a ground up remake with like the same design structure. But like that doesn't, I don't know. I think a remaster with like new character models and upgraded textures would have been probably a more efficient use of their resources. But maybe we'll be surprised and this remake will have something really special to it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll know soon.
I guess we will.
Within the year, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently.
Something we will not see within a year is a game from the new studio called Unseen. This studio was just opened by Ikumi Nakamura. You may know her if you watched Bethesda's 2019 E3 conference. It's one of those.
That's the one Keanu was at.
Keanu wasn't at a Bethesda conference.
Oh, no, you're right.
But was it that year?
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Then that'd be 2019. Okay, so a few years ago, this lovely Japanese woman was at an E3 conference, a Bethesda E3 conference, to show off her game that was called Ghostwire Tokyo. Since then, quite a while ago, she left the studio to start her own studio. She left Bethesda. which, a lot of people had questions about why, but honestly, here we are. We're at the point where she is showing off her new game, or her new studio, I should say. No game announced. And if you saw that conference, you would know that she's an amazingly lovely person. She's adorable, and she's charming. And I don't care what her game is. I just want her to succeed. So I don't even know what to say. She's just so cute that I'm like fumbling over my words because she's so fun and cool. Like, I just want to be friends with her and hang out.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke about what you said at the very top of the news.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that we will not see, and then I was going to say, is it because it's called Unseen?
That would have been really... I'm sorry. I should have stopped talking. I should have sensed your joke.
It's all right. I won't hold it against you.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about it, though.
Okay. Well, then I'll be ready.
Thinking about holding it against you.
Okay. Well, I'll be ready to defend myself if need be.
Defend yourself, perhaps in a Pokemon battle with me?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's fun. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, the next news pertains to Pokemon. According to the official Pokemon website, a paragraph, and I will read it for you.
Hit me.
Implied that the gameplay in Scarlet and Violet would be similar or the same as traditional, rather than the Legends Arceus.
We have this discussion every time.
I just don't know.
We could just start saying Legends. I think we can cut off the Arceus.
Yes. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more traditional, according to the official website in this paragraph, which reads as follows. Various towns blend seamlessly into the wilderness with no borders. You'll be able to see the Pokemon of this region in the skies, in the seas, in the forests, on the streets, all over. You'll be able to experience the true joy of the Pokemon series, battling against wild Pokemon in order to catch them. Now in an open world game that players of any age can enjoy.
Kelly.
I actually don't. I don't know. I kind of wasn't expecting it to be like Legends. So this news didn't surprise me that much, but I know that you're disappointed.
Yeah, you're smarter than I am. I just went in with the hope that they would... I guess they can't learn from Legends, because realistically this game was so deep into development by the time that Legends came out that they wouldn't really know what people were going to like, and they couldn't really use it yet. So it makes sense, but also I just loved the catching style, especially in the latter chunk of Legends Arceus, that the idea of it going back to having to enter battles with Pokemon just to catch them kind of disappoints me a bit, but we'll see. I think I need to see more of this game. I'm realizing now, even though the reveal was very exciting, that this could be a lot more similar to previous mainline entries than we originally thought, because just removing the loading screen between towns and wider routes wouldn't really make it that much different from the base, from the mainline series. So I just have to hope that it's genuinely something different and exciting.
Yeah. I guess my only caveat would be if we were to catch Pokemon in the same style that we do in Legends, it might just be too... I don't want to say too easy, but it might just be too... I don't know. I feel mainline Pokemon games are easy enough, and they're only getting easier. And I sort of feel like maybe with that mechanic, it would make it almost too easy, because in Legends, your goal is to just catch, and it takes a while. It takes a while because there's a lot of catching that you have to do in different ways.
Yeah, I guess you have to catch many Pokemon to register instead of just one.
Right. Whereas in mainline Pokemon games, it's your goal isn't necessarily catching, though that is a part of the journey. The goal is to become the champion or whatever. So if catching is simplified, then it almost makes it too much easier.
I guess, yeah, I can see that.
That's my only thing. But honestly, if they did do that style, it wouldn't bother me, because I do think they need to I think they need like a, I don't know. They're never going to get it, but they need a kick in the buns to like do more.
Yeah. I think that this is probably going to be closer to the main lines, like closer to Sword and Shield than it was to Legends Arceus, which is fine. I'm disappointed. I think I got overly excited because we were so fresh off Arceus, which I loved, when we saw this, and I didn't really look at it as clearly as I maybe should have. But a game that is not stale at all, and never will be apparently, is Grand Theft Auto 5, the brand new action-adventure game. It's brand spanking new. It came out, when did that come out, Kelly? It was what, November?
2013?
Yeah, November. November is right. It was just a bit ago. November of 2021, right? And not 2013?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Is it old, Kelly?
It's about 9 years old.
Yeah, is it coming up on its 10th anniversary pretty soon?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Fun. There's a version of the game coming to PlayStation 5 and Series X. We have talked about this a bit, but now we know that it is coming out at a price of $40 with no free upgrade. So if you have it for PlayStation 4, you don't get a free upgrade. They are reducing the price on launch to $10 on PlayStation and then $20 on Xbox. I just don't know what to say. It's ridiculous that there's no free upgrade. People bought this thing on PlayStation 3, and then they bought it on PlayStation 4 so they could play it more, and there was no free upgrade because, they weren't backwards compatible. Please give people the free upgrade. The fact that somebody could have spent $60 on this, and then again $60 on this, and now another $40 on this is insane to me. And that's just the base game, and who knows how much these same people have spent on microtransactions and Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah.
I hate reporting on GTA 5. I hate doing it.
It's getting really exhausting.
It's dumb. This game's old. Let it die. Make GTA 6. I mean, they are, but stop releasing GTA 5.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll just have to rise above that.
Oh, interesting that you should say that. Because there's going to be a Monster Hunter presentation next week. On the 15th of March.
A total accident.
A completely unremarkable date in every other way. But, yeah. There's going to be a Monster Hunter presentation on the 15th of March. About what? Maybe an expansion? Maybe a new game? Maybe monsters in real life?
I hope so.
Time will only tell.
Are you getting the Sunbreak DLC, do you think?
No!
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. It's a big commitment, and there's a lot going on already.
Yeah.
That I want to be playing, so I don't think I need to do that.
Does this presentation happen on a day of any importance?
Nope.
No importance?
March 15th. Oh, Julius Caesar was stabbed on March 15th. Beware the Ides of March. It's a Tuesday.
Okay.
It's exactly 1 month from tax day, April 15th.
You know a lot of things about this day. Why is that so strange, Kelly?
I don't know. I guess it's just one of those days. It's 2 days before St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And you know what? Some people had their original due date to be born on St. Patrick's Day, but then they were born 2 days before on the 15th.
Oh, do you know any of those people?
Yeah, I do actually.
Is it Peter?
It's me!
Oh, I thought it was Peter. I really, I can't cut that out. That has to stay. Whatever that was, the audience will hear it.
That was me celebrating my birthday.
I hope that you get lots of well wishes. And I hope
Thank
that
you.
Monster Hunter puts you in the game because it's your birthday.
Oh my gosh. They should.
I'll call them up.
Thank
I'll
you.
see if they could do that.
Okay, thank you.
And hopefully you're not doing any insider trading.
You know what? I'll have to check.
You don't know if you're doing insider trading?
No, I do know. and I am not.
So a man named Barry Diller and another man named David Geffen. I don't know these people. They don't have anything to do with video games directly. They bought a large sum of Activision stock directly before it spiked into the air after Microsoft acquired it, and now they're under investigation for insider trading. This is this is technically video games, but this is money.
Uh-oh. It's kind of funny, not to get political.
Do it.
But it's kind of funny how different rules apply for different people.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a lot of discussion of a lot of discussion of stock buying these days, isn't there?
Yes. People in the U.S. government, the people who write laws and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know what else to say. Kelly, say something positive political. Say something that makes people call us SJWs.
Come
on.
Everyone should have equal rights.
Oh, we're going to get in trouble.
Except for my cat.
Oh.
She should not be allowed to have any rights because of the havoc that she's wreaking on my desk right now.
Oh, well, she wants to be part of the podcast.
She really does.
My cat is not allowed in our podcast because he's too loud. So. And
she used to be not allowed, but she starts to get really upset at the door if I don't let her in. So
that's why I have 2 doors between me and my cat while I record. I literally have to separate us by 2 doors. But he's named after a video game character, so it makes sense that he's angry. He's like, why, if I get named that, do I not get to be part of it?
That's true. I would also be offended.
No. I mean, I'll just buy a new one on Amazon if he's that upset.
See, my transition was I was going to ask if your cat was going to be starring in any television shows lately.
Both are good.
Yeah, I think yours might have been better.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to tell.
Apparently, a new God of War series, not a game, a television series, is in development, reportedly at Amazon Studios.
Wow, so exciting.
Wow.
Are you excited?
No.
Oh.
I'm really not.
I don't think it's... The last God of War game was such a movie in its cinematic design that I feel like it's one of the most redundant things to turn into a movie. And also, I mean, God of War has like this storied history of being like insanely violent and like disgusting and insane and like maybe a little misogynistic. And then they kind of just turned it around in 2018 and they're like, no, this is a deep franchise. And I'm like, is the series just going to ignore that past then and pretend it's always been this like deep franchise with no issues?
Yeah, I know. I guess my thinking is like, I just don't trust. I don't know. I don't trust a lot of these studios because you see what they're putting out and it's like, it looks really cheap.
Yeah.
Like the Halo series looks very cheap. The new Lord of the Rings series, which isn't video game, but it is Amazon, it looks pretty cheap. I mean, I don't know. I just worry. The only one that has not looked cheap to me is The Last of Us, and that's just because we've seen like 2 screenshots.
Yeah.
And also, it's HBO, so HBO has a lot of money.
Looks like a still. It's a still image. It's like, well, of course they're going to make that look nice. Even that might be. Who knows?
Right. So, I don't know. I just feel like a game that's as visually rich as God of War, and like you said, has a very storied history. I don't foresee that translating very well into a non-interactive medium, especially because it's like, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to do like the original? Because that's sort of more of a more bombastic, a lot more like exaggerated. Or are they going to do the revamp, which is
Data 4.
a lot, yeah, a lot more grounded and maybe having a deeper story, but sort of ignoring its roots of like you said, sort of like very violent and misogynistic and just like, this is a dude's game. Nah, 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 nah. You know what I mean? Like, press this button to do this. Blah, blah, nah, nah, nah. It's like the game has moved very far away from that, but
Which I think is
It is-
okay. Like, I think it's okay for a game to grow and kind of like accept that its roots are not great, accept that it has had some maybe questionable decisions in the past, but now it's able to be something more. But I almost feel like an adaptation shouldn't happen for that reason. Because if you're adapting the new one, it's like, well, that's already feels like an adaptation of the original.
Yeah.
God of War 2018 already kind of feels like an adaptation of the original franchise. Like, I don't think we need a series. And also, this means that Dwayne the Rock, Mr. Johnson, will probably not be playing him.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of the speculation when he was like, I'm going to be in a movie. Everybody's like, oh, it's going to be God of War. But now that we know it's a series, it's like, oh, he's talking about something else.
Maybe he's obfuscating the truth when he said movie.
Or
but also,
he's the Doomslayer.
That's true. But also, I saw a video of him on Twitter, and he had just gotten done with a workout, and his head was steaming, and it was very funny.
That is funny. You did talk about that last time because that's all you... I promise you brought up the steaming head last time.
Maybe it's funny, and that's why I can't
It
not
is funny.
think about it.
I just like that every time Mr. Johnson gets brought up, you're like, steaming head, steaming head, steaming head, steaming head.
I cannot help myself.
You're just going to have to, it's going to be the end for you, Kelly. It's Kelly's fall. Or your nickname, Babylon. Your nickname's Babylon, right?
Yeah, everybody calls me that.
Babylon's Fall would be, oh, wait, that's a video game. Babylon's Fall is a video game by Square Enix and by Platinum. Oh, this is a game that Andrew was very excited for, right? A game that Andrew was very excited for 3 years ago when it was shown off for the first time, and one that I'm sure in the 3 years since its initial reveal did not go downhill or change drastically at all.
Yeah.
Babylon's Fall is an action game that used to be a single-player action game made by Platinum that got transitioned into a live service multiplayer model, and it came out last week to some kind of fanfare. What would you define this fanfare as, Kelly?
Very muted.
Yeah, like sad fanfare.
Like the trumpets from The Price is Right when you get an answer wrong. And they're like, dun, 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 dun. Wow.
Yeah. It has an average critic review score of 43 out of 100.
Oof.
So absolute bottom of the barrel. And there's really not a lot to say. I just really cannot describe how disappointed I am because this initial reveal trailer from 3 years ago was really something cool. I was super pumped for this, and I trusted Platinum. And it probably was a good game that they transitioned to live service, and just now it's blowing up in their face. When it came out, alongside much anticipated Elden Ring. Elden Ring was like one of the most highly concurrently played games on Steam ever. Had close to 1 million people playing all at one time. Babylon's Fall had 663 people playing it on launch. When I heard that, yeah, that's not. I can't even fathom how bad 600 and some change people playing your game, your very expensive game on launch. Like, that's such a failure. But hopefully Square Enix will finally learn. This is their third attempt. They did Avengers, which sold okay because it was Marvel, but ultimately did not do well. And then they did Outriders, which was even worse. And now they did this, which is by far the worst yet. So it has such cool art too. That's what I hate, is when I look at the art for this game and I'm like, oh, this could have been something amazing.
I know, there was a lot of potential.
Just thrown away.
Totally tossed in the trash.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. It's just sad.
Yeah. So, Nintendo has announced that they are going to be delaying indefinitely. Well, that actually sounds worse than it is. But they're delaying Advance Wars Reboot Camp 1 and 2 just because of real-world events going on right now that you probably know about. But just because the game is very, it's called Advance Wars.
Yeah.
So they're deciding to postpone the release date and they'll be announcing a new one relatively soon. This was news that I heard on like Tuesday, so I actually am not sure if they've announced a new one yet.
No, not yet.
No?
I'm assuming it'll be a good few weeks, probably.
Yeah, I think...
I'd be surprised if they let the original release date come and go before announcing a new one. Like, I bet by early April we'll know.
Yeah.
I
suppose
respect
we'll
the
see.
decision a lot.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting. It's like, when is a good time? You know? Because this
it's
thing
gonna be a
going
while.
on in Ukraine is probably going to be going on for quite a while. So
I mean,
I just wonder when it becomes acceptable to release this game.
it kind of reminds me of The Last of Us Part 2, where they delayed that game because they were like, we feel really weird releasing a game about a pandemic right as a pandemic begins. And then everybody was like, well, I guess we respect that. And then the new release date was like 2 weeks later. And then some like internal reports came out later that were like, oh, they just did it because they looked at the calendar and they were like, oh, we could make more money if we sold it 2 weeks later. And everybody's like, oh, so you're just bulk wrapping and using it. But this actually feels like I do not think Nintendo is doing this to make more money. I think this is legitimately just a conscious decision to, keep people's minds in the right place and not bring undue hurt just for a goofy video game.
Yeah. It's interesting. You probably know this, but maybe some listeners don't. But do you know when the first Advance Wars game came out on Game Boy Advance in North America?
I don't know, 9/11?
September 10th, 2001.
Oh my goodness, that's insane.
So maybe not the best.
They're not good at timing these things.
Yeah, maybe not the best timing.
I bet they really wish they hit that December window right now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
that's insane. September 10th.
Yep.
This is, well, again, I'm glad they made this decision. It's better than, releasing this game and then having it become associated with this. And again, it is a fun cartoon tactics game. It shouldn't bring undue hurt, and it might if it comes out at this point.
Right.
Another game that got delayed, no relation to any world events, simply needs more time in the oven, is Forspoken. This is Square Enix's new third-person action game. It was originally supposed to come out in May, and now it is October 11th. So a hefty delay. I was very disappointed to hear about this. Delays are good ultimately because if a game needs more time, it needs more time. But this game felt really soon, and I was looking forward to playing it, and now it's kind of not soon. Like it just instantly left my radar of like upcoming games because I can't even fathom October right now in my tiny little pea brain.
Yeah, I feel like hopefully maybe they'll improve the animation,
The faces,
the animations of people.
Because
But we'll see.
they showed new gameplay both at a PlayStation event that we'll discuss in a minute, and also they released some stuff with Game Informer, and it's looking better and better every time we see it. The facial animations always look kind of funky, but the gameplay keeps looking better, and ultimately I think that's the most important part. Like the way that the character moves around, and as we know, I am very sultry for movement mechanics, very top of the line, and I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
Are you just going to let that one slide, my use of that word?
Yeah.
Okay, just make it sure.
Yeah. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Like I said, though, they showed that a new trailer for that in a PlayStation State of Play, which was announced and released between episodes of this podcast. It said that it was going to be focused mostly on Japanese games. It was really good, guys. So the short of it is that this PlayStation State of Play did not announce a single PlayStation 5 game. It announced every game it announced was either multi-platform or PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And well, let's just get into it, Kelly. How'd it go?
You gotta laugh.
Yeah, I laughed.
Or you cry.
I did that too.
Or you do both. So big fun, exciting news for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans. I know you're out there doing your poses and stuff. With your scary looking dog. There's going to be a new JoJo game. Fighting game. Not just a game, a fighting game. And it'll be coming out this fall on all platforms. That's right. This fall. 2022, baby.
That's like tomorrow. It's not quite spring. That's coming to everything too. That was one thing that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
It's coming to like Switch and PC and PlayStation because it doesn't look super technically demanding, but I really like the art style. Do you agree?
Yes.
I think it's really inspired and like reminds. I've only seen some of the anime, so I cannot be called a true fan, and I apologize for that.
Well, it's hard to be a true fan. There's like a bajillion different things that you have to watch and read.
Well, yeah.
And understand.
I watched.
There's fashion shows you have to watch to understand. That's like the level.
Yeah, I'll just stick to my Kingdom Hearts. I don't need this in addition. But the game looks fantastic. I think it's really cool visually. And 50 playable characters is really cool. That's a lot of characters. So I hope JoJo and fighting game fans are both very excited for this. Kelly, Capcom is... What? What do you got against Capcom? I just want to know. Okay. Yeah?
I'm done.
So Capcom has this really classic franchise. It started on the PlayStation 1. It's called Dino Crisis. I don't know if you know about it. It's about dinosaurs. It's kind of like a survival horror game.
I've heard of it.
And then during this conference, Capcom started showing a new game, dinosaur-centered. And it's not Dino Crisis. It's called Exoprimal. Really great name. Great title. It is a multiplayer game where you are fighting against hordes of dinosaurs. It kind of looks like a warrior style game. It has more realistic visuals though. You're in like robotic suits. I'm gonna be honest, I think it looks fun, but when trailers like this start with like multiplayer focus, I get weary right away, because if a game is shown off immediately with multiplayer, I'm like, okay, well, I don't trust you to focus on the single player properly then. But I think it was also strange that it's coming out next year, 2023, and it is on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. It's
Woo!
Last year we were making comments about like, oh, it stinks that games coming out in 2022 were being multi-platform. We just got one of the first major 2023 announcements, and it's a PlayStation 4 game.
Yeah.
So I had mixed feelings. I think it could have been cool if it was single player first and PlayStation 5 exclusive, and it was literally just like a Warriors game, but with guns and dinosaurs. I'd probably be super on board. But there were a couple things that just set me off, and it's called Exoprimal, which I just don't like.
Yeah, it's kind of it reminds me of this game that I used to play when I was little on the school computers. It was like you were playing as like a dinosaur.
Do you remember what it was called?
No, but I think it had Primal in the name.
Primal Instinct. I just made that up. Is that the name?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just made that face to make you feel better.
Oh, thanks. Are there any games that maybe could make me feel better?
Perhaps.
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. You can continue if you want.
It's not Dino Field Chronicle. It's Dio Field Chronicle?
I'd go with Dio, because Dio's from JoJo.
Okay.
And it's in the same thing, so.
Square announced a new tactics game, a new tactics RPG, set to release this year on all platforms. It looks a lot like perhaps Fire Emblem, a game that we all know and love, just based on style. It looks a little bit different, but it actually looks very similar.
I thought it
So
was going to be a Final Fantasy Tactics reboot, which would have made a lot of sense.
I've never played Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know what it looks like. The title alone looks like Final Fantasy. Maybe this is like their like try at it, and then if this does well, they'll do Final Fantasy Tactics remake.
Maybe. I just feel like tactics games are kind of, there's a lot going on tactically right now. Like Square just released Triangle Strategy a few days ago. And now they're announcing a new strategy game. I will say the one thing that got me was like, I really am intrigued by the art style. Cause like this trailer almost showed like 6 different art styles between like battles and cutscenes and like overworld. So I think that's really interesting to me. That's what gets me the most.
Yeah.
It looks very
yeah.
polished.
It does. It looks nice.
Another one that was weird to me, though, because it was multi-platform. And I'm like, well, why is this a PlayStation showcase cap? Like, this was the second to last thing, and they made a very big deal about this. The other thing that they capped off the show, and they were like, okay, before we close out the show, we have 2 more new Square Enix games to show, which is a horrible way to set something up because, you know, if it's not Final Fantasy, realistically, or like Kingdom Hearts, you're going to disappoint people because that's a show ender. But the last game that they showed was a new action game called Valkyrie Elysium. This one is actually PlayStation exclusive, but just PlayStation 4 and 5. So no PS5 exclusives. I think it's it looks okay. It's a little ugly. It like that was the thing that got me. Like there were some shots where I was like, oh, this is really pretty, and then there were other shots where I was like, this is a little bit hideous.
It's weird. I don't like the dark outlines of the characters. It looks bad.
It looks really bad because that makes sense on like low poly kind of comic booky manga style characters, but these are like pretty realistic models with like really heavy lines. And there were some shots that looked really nice, and then some shots that looked like very PlayStation like 3, like late PlayStation 3. And I'm confused. This was not a show ender at all. No. I know we're spoiled by directs. The last direct was really well paced, and it was just an entertaining show altogether. But my goodness, PlayStation, like, just pay some developers to show off some cool stuff if you don't have anything.
Yeah. I guess this is you might have said this. This is like an old franchise of theirs.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to make any statements about its return. But I don't think it's big enough to make this big a deal. Is the series Valkyrie Profile?
Yes.
Yeah, I have no familiarity with this game.
Yeah.
It looks like this is the 5th entry, and it's been mostly dormant since 2008. So.
Jeez. Well, that's exciting for fans of the series.
I suppose.
All 12 of them.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's exciting for them. It's pretty ugly. Like, if I have a franchise I want to come back and it comes back looking like this, I'd be like, no, go home. I don't want you back.
Give it another couple weeks.
Yeah.
Let it cook a little bit more.
This show, Kelly, it left me even more weary of PlayStation's next year. Because right now, Horizon just came out. Theoretically, God of War comes out this year. And that's all they have. And then next year they have Spider-Man. And right now it's just like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? What are you releasing that is actually interesting and exclusive? And maybe they just don't have to because, you know, PlayStation 5s are selling out the second they make them regardless. Or maybe they're like holding out and they're going to do like a bombshell year, maybe a year or 2 from now, once everybody kind of can get PlayStation 5s. But I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. I just feel like maybe they don't think that there's a good return on investment of doing PlayStation 5 exclusives right now. because like you said, they're still not accessible.
Yeah.
So
But
they just don't think they're going to make enough money off of these PlayStation 5 games. So they're like, we'll just wait until more people have the console.
Yeah. And for like multi-platform games or like third-party games, I get that. Like this Exoprimal, a little annoyed, but I get it. But first-party stuff is where it gets like, they're putting no faith in this console. Even if it is an economic decision, it just feels like a lack of faith. So the next year is going to be very telling. If they don't kind of get it together and show us what the future looks like by the end of this year, which is approaching much faster than I'd like it to, they're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
So, but that showcase was terrible, just to put it out there. It was a really boring 20 minutes. And there were a couple other smaller things that we decided there was nothing we could possibly even say about them. Like there was like a Gundam deathmatch game, which would be really cool, except you're all Gundams, so you just look like regular size people. Because there's like no size references for you being large. I'm like, oh, so it's just kind of a generic Overwatch looking game.
Yeah.
Oh well, to each their own. If you want a good game show, go watch a direct. Don't watch this. Or just play a game.
Yeah. Or just play a video game.
That's probably it's going to be a lot more entertaining than the 20 minutes that this was.
Yeah.
Did you play anything this week, Kelly?
I played Elden Ring.
What? I misheard that as like Elden Ring. And I was like,
That's what I said.
oh, because it's smelly?
Yeah, I played Elden Ring.
Can I give a little behind the scenes joke? Not joke, but insight.
Yes.
So we have these sheets for every week of the podcast so we can keep track of, what we're going to talk about, what news is. And usually I very deliberately will beat Kelly to the sheet for the first time in the week so that I can make a joke about her being stinky. And it's funny, and I feel like I got her pretty good. But this week, Kelly beat me to it. And she also wrote, Andrew is stinky. This is factual and true. So she made it impossible for me to argue about this. So I'd like to give Kelly a round of applause silently because, Kelly's giving herself a round of applause. I'm just very proud of you, Kelly.
Thank you.
So anyway, do you still like Elden Ring?
I do. I'm probably about 8 hours in now. I haven't had a lot of opportunity to play because life is a little bit crazy right now. But I'm enjoying it. I am doing a lot of exploring. I'm discovering that something I really, really enjoy about the game is that if you're stuck at a point, and I know we talked about this, but if you're stuck at a point, you can just sort of walk away.
Yeah.
And come back to it, which is really nice. I got stuck on the first story boss, quote unquote, for a very long time. And then I read online and it was like I was way underleveled and I was not exploring enough. So I explored for 4 hours and then I came back to it and I was able to beat him eventually. But I'm still really enjoying it. I love the design of the world. I feel like the design of these games is always so amazing to me. Very detailed and intricate. And I feel like that's not appreciated enough because people are always just like, game hard, game too hard. It's like, yes, it's difficult, but there's so many other aspects of the game that just don't get enough appreciation because of that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really like my character. I like the build that I chose. I chose Astrologer, which is a sort of your standard magic caster.
Uh-huh.
I'm really enjoying that. I feel like the game is a lot more open to make you want to use magic than previous Souls games were.
Yeah.
So I am enjoying it. I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic for Bloodborne because I love Bloodborne. And I wish that I could explore the world of that game to this extent.
Hey, maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe someday now that they're done with Elden Ring. But anyway, I'm having a great time. enjoying myself.
I am so glad to hear that.
Thank you. How are you feeling about it now?
Really good. So, to be honest, I have a little bit of negativity right now. This is my last note, but I'll just go ahead and put it out there so it's clear. I just finished a late game boss that was very bad. It was just poorly designed. It was a set of 2 bosses who I had actually fought earlier in the game. And those bosses were really well designed and really fair and really cool, and I loved them. And then late in the game, the 2 of them get stuck together in a room, and they share a health bar, and they can respawn each other if you don't reduce their health bar completely. And it's basically like their attack patterns are not built in a way where they give you any sense of taking a breath, because they are constantly both just doing their own attack patterns, and it's impossible to like completely understand both at once. I did beat it. It took multiple hours, probably like 3 to 4 hours, and I didn't enjoy it. I beat it, and I like was shaking a little bit because it was a very slow attempt, because I was like doing very well and didn't want to blow it. And I didn't feel good. It was the only boss in the game where I wasn't like, yes, I beat it. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm done. So that hurt quite a bit. And it did leave a little bit of a stain on my opinion for like a day. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but like considering how hard I've been binging this game, a day was a long time. And then like right after that, I got to another story boss and I loved it. It took a long time. It was similarly difficult, but it was so fair and fun to learn its patterns that I was genuinely having a great time, regardless if I was winning or losing. And that has been my trend for like this whole game, is I feel like I'm genuinely enjoying the mechanics, even if the game is beating me into the ground mercilessly. And that's really impressive. I don't even fully understand this game. I am stinky and bad at it, but I'm still having a great time. There's a lot of late game events and fights that carry a lot of like emotional weight. I don't fully understand the story of this game because it's very background, but I feel I understand most of the character relations. So they're really able to hit you pretty hard with that kind of stuff. I later in the game started changing my focus for where I was putting my stats as I leveled up. And I found a weapon that was Bleed and Frost, which is 2 different things you can do where, like, as you hit characters, they build up a Frost or a Bleed meter. And when it hits full, they'll take, like, a critical hit, where they take a bunch of damage. And now I have a weapon that has both those things, and it's very fun. You can't see those meters, so you kind of have to just understand and intuit what's going on. And also, it's still, like, a hard game. Doesn't make it easy. But it feels good when you get one good whack in on a boss, you know? And also, late in the game, I got really mainlined into the story. It didn't force me to, just to be clear. It, at most points, left me with the option to leave and go do as much exploring as I wanted. But as I got late, it just kept presenting new story developments, and it was a lot more linear. And I was inclined to just continue as I went. And now I'm just so invested in that story and in seeing everything that I am just playing till I finish. I am very likely done with the open world part. I explored a giant chunk of it. I know I missed some stuff, but I explored a lot of it. I'm actually on the final boss currently. It's not going well. I'm prepared. It's just very difficult. And I don't want to over-prepare because I kind of want the last fight to hurt in a good way. Because if you over-prepare, there are ways to make this game quite easy. You are able to over-level. You are able to get weapons that are very much stacked to your advantage. And I'm just really feeling this game. I really like it. I'm looking forward to finishing it. And realistically, my thoughts will not have changed next week unless the ending is so incredibly impactful that I have to change my opinion. And I feel like I am allowed to say this now because I've beaten every main story boss except one. I think this game should have an easy mode. And I don't even know if I would have played on easy mode if the option was there from day one, I'm not sure what I would have picked, but I genuinely do believe there's so many special things about this game that some people are not going to be able to experience because the difficulty is just too difficult for some people to overcome. And I know I just said like you can grind and find certain things to make bosses easier, but I don't think that should be a requirement for somebody who maybe has less motor function, or even people who have substantially less time. I think if somebody only has 1 hour every few days to play games and they want to play this game, they can't, it would be way too difficult to play it that way. But if it was an easy mode where you could kind of just focus on the story, focus on the main bosses, enjoy that part, I think that would be really good. I think that's something that they should look into. And I don't think it would lessen the experience for people who chose to play on the standard difficulty. So, what is your... I guess that's my take on the easy mode debate. I just accidentally dropped it. Do you have a take on that debate?
Yeah. I guess I would agree with you. I don't necessarily think the game needs one. I guess my thinking is it's hard to speak from my own perspective because I feel like I don't know what it's like to not have options.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to make a constructive and clear argument. I don't have like a full robust understanding of that, but I do think that it's really hard because this is probably the first Souls game that there's a lot of options to make it a lot easier for yourself.
Yeah, it is the most accessible one so far.
But it's still very, very difficult. And something that you said I hadn't really considered is the time thing. Like, you're right. People don't have a lot of time these days. I mean, I don't have a lot of time. I'm only like 8 hours into the game, and it's been out for 2 weeks now. But I guess my thinking is for more, I would love for more people to be able to enjoy this game.
Yeah.
And if that meant an easy mode, then so be it. I think it's fundamentally against what the creators of these games want and desire for their games, which is unfortunate, but they're the ones who are making it, so it's kind of hard to dictate what their creative vision should be.
Yeah. I think it's like accessibility options, I think, are the thing for me, It's like I don't know. Like, I almost wish there was some form of easy mode equivalent to like subtitles for films,
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, nothing that changes the game inherently. Like, you're still playing the same game functionally, but something to make it more accessible to more people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not going to happen. This is simply... That's the thing about these debates. Every time a Souls game comes out, it feels like the most pointless version of the debate because, Miyazaki says, no, this is a hard game and I'm going to keep it difficult. And it seems like that is definitely going to remain the case. So,
yeah,
in a sense, it's like, well, what are we even spending time talking about it if it's not going to happen?
Right.
But I think for the greater gaming space, not for the gayer gaming space, that's very different. For the greater gaming space, it is important, even if it doesn't affect this game directly, because it's not going to change. I think it is something that we should all consider,
I agree.
And also, if it was a toggle to turn it from easy to hard or easy to normal or whatever, I would have changed it to easy for that stupid boss, and then I'd be complaining about it less. And I think that's the key thing. Like, I almost wanted to wait till I finished the game to say my opinion, because it's very common for people to get mad at you and say, well, you're just playing it wrong. And I'm like, I beat the game. Well, almost. I am about to finish this entire game, and I played it exactly fair and square. I didn't use any, I didn't ever Google how to, cheese any bosses. I just finished it how the game intended, and I had a great time, and I love the mechanics. But I do think an option to make that more accessible and for more fun for some people would not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't take away from the people who love the difficulty can just keep it difficult. Nobody's taking that away from them.
Right.
Well, that's been Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Big new game. I played too much of it.
I also have to say I love everybody. I love all the characters. I like the pot, whose name I cannot remember right now.
I don't know.
Because he kept telling me to wallop his backside. And I said, I can do that for you. And then I did that. And I also like D, who has a real name, but he has not told me yet.
He will.
I have feelings for him.
I'm sure he'll trust you soon.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not telling you as a spoiler. I'm just saying I believe in you.
Oh, thank you. I like Blade. I'm not a furry. Can you edit that out?
No, that's staying in.
I like Blade. I like that he is sort of an homage to Guts from Berserk. I also like that he has a tail underneath his cape.
You're
Have
really
you met
not
him?
No, so I know who that is, but I can't say why.
Okay. Yeah, nothing ever ends well in these games, but
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think I encountered him in a different way than you did.
Oh, I see. But yeah.
That doesn't make sense, but it will later.
Anyway, those are my final thoughts.
Final? Are you done?
Well, not
playing?
my final, but those are my thoughts for right now.
I anticipate that we will be discussing this game for a long time.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like this will be your addiction for like months. Or every week you'll be like, here's my updated Elden Ring thoughts.
I've
Still
never
good.
been addicted to a game, and I've never replayed a game, and I've never only talked about a game ever in my life.
Yeah, please don't listen to the first 4 episodes of this podcast. They are not about Mass Effect at all.
No.
They are. Also, don't listen to the first 4 episodes of this podcast if you're new, because they're bad. We had like bad equipment and we didn't know what we were doing yet. I feel like if you are starting this podcast here or near here, get back to like episode 15 and then be like, okay, I'll just stop there. So that's been another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I feel like I'm Andrew. It just felt so much like the opening that I felt like I was supposed to do the opening.
I feel like I'm Kellie.
Are you?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. I'm Peter.
I'm Brian.
And this has been Game Talkin'.
With Brian and Peter. Not Family Guy.
What?
Not because there are 2 characters in Family Guy named Brian and Peter.
Oh, okay. I just didn't pick up. I was like, yeah, I just said Game Talking, not Family Guy. Can you not hear?
No, I can't actually.
Anyway, we'll be back again a little later than usual. This is coming out on a Friday, and the following episode will be next Tuesday. Taking a little over a week off. I don't know what to say. A few extra days. We'll be back with some Mario Kart DLC opinions.
Woo!
And hopefully a lot of good news. Hopefully PlayStation doesn't do another State of Play, because I don't want to watch that again. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.